if that's the person that I'm becoming, what do I need to do to embody that? So asking yourself, who do you want to be first? And then how do I have to be in order to embody that person?
It's the Health in the Real World podcast. It's time to start the show with Chris Janke as your host. Here to give you everything that you need when it comes to fitness strategies. We keep it simple and easy. It's your roadmap to get healthy. You don't need equipment and you don't need a gym. Just the right strategies to get you fit and trim.
Welcome to the Health in the Real World podcast. Today, I'm joined by our newest guest, Ari Gronich, the performance therapist, one of the most sought after therapists and trainers for elite athletes, corporate culture and wellness, international industry speakers. And he's the founder and CEO of Achieve Health USA and the Performance Therapy Academy, and can be found interviewing world changers on his podcast, Create a New Tomorrow. So let's welcome Ari Gronich. Ari, what's going on?
How you doing, man? Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. I'm really excited. It sounds like you've had an awesome career so far, been in it for a while, and you've, coached or trained, I don't know what term you use, but Olympic athletes and professional athletes and CEOs and the whole deal. Why don't you give everyone kind of a brief introduction of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. So again, my name is Ari Gronich. I'm known as the performance therapist, and I've spent the last 27 years basically taking elite athletes from injuries to gold medals, world championships, and legacy championships, whether they're Olympic, Paralympic, professional athletes. And when you do that, it's kind of cool, is you learn minutia like nobody's business, because as you know, in an elite athlete, like tenths of seconds matter, whereas maybe minutes matter. So the minutia is really, really cool. But I've been doing that. I started 3 of the first corporate wellness programs in the country back when I was in school. I was 18. I ran the clinic for the massage school, and my school backed up to the campuses of Nike, Intel, and Tektronix in Beaverton, Oregon. We needed more patients. I decided, hey, let's take our clinic to them. And I think some of those programs are still running, which is kind of cool. And so I've done a lot of stuff in my career. It's been a pretty fascinating, interesting 27 years.
Yeah, that's pretty amazing. Speaking of Nike, and I was going to say this about, just being in the right headspace. I grew up watching Michael Jordan and being just so fascinated by him and his skill. And he made really good basketball players look like children. And I think a lot of that was because of his mindset, right? A lot of it was what was going on upstairs, and he just knew what he wanted. He knew he had to work for it, and he just did it, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, he was unstoppable.
Yeah,
Simple.
absolutely. So Ari, I like talking. Yeah, I think we, as if you're experienced as a fitness person or if you're a beginner, I think we all benefit from the same information. What would you tell somebody is one of the most important things somebody can do to get healthy? And I use the term fit. I don't mean just fit, but just healthy in general, mindset, body, spirit, everything. What's one of the most important things somebody can do in your mind?
Yeah, there's 2 things that are absolutely essential that is going to sound really, really funny when I say them, but 99% of the people don't do them very well. And those 2 things are breathing and drinking water. Now, I'm going to say that because breathing, people think, well, I breathe, I live, I'm alive, I breathe.
Right.
Well, if you're sitting down, like most people are in a chair, you cut off half of your lung capacity by crunching down on your diaphragm. So unless you're raising your arms up to extend this part of your body, you're breathing only into this top part of your lungs, thereby cutting half of your nutrition value, your oxygenation of your blood. I mean, I could go on with the minutia of the benefits of that, but that's one of the main things that people don't do correctly is breathe. They also breathe many times out of their mouth, right? So mouth breathing triggers your central nervous system to go into fight or flight. It activates your adrenal glands so that you're in a high anxiety state on a regular basis. When you breathe through your nose, you trigger your vagal nerve, which basically is a calming nerve. It triggers DHEA to calm cortisol levels, relax your adrenal glands, put you in more of a peaceful place. So those two things with breathing alone will extremely increase your health. Last thing with breathing is most people don't realize this, but 80% of all fat loss happens in your breath. Your fat is a long chain of oxygen and hydrogen atoms, right? Long chain of that. And so the only way to really lose fat is through your breath. And so if you do heavy breath work or breath exercises, breathing exercises, you don't even have to work out. You can just do breathing 15 minutes a day of intense breathing, and you'll drop pounds, you'll lose weight just from that, because you're using the feature that allows fat to get lost. So those three things with breathing. And then the last one, or the second thing that you asked, was about
You were
water.
talking about water. Yeah. I
Right.
want to say one thing about
Yeah,
breathing real quick, because I
absolutely.
have a story. I've lost 10 pounds over COVID. I didn't necessarily have 10 pounds to lose, but it's because I do my workouts with my clients. Now you would think, okay, he's going to work. He's working out. He's breathing hard. He's sweating. It's hard. It's really not that hard. My workouts are very simple. And I've told people I maybe have dripped 3 drops of sweat in the last year. Like they're really not that hard. But I'm focused on the breathing, and it's been incredible, and I feel so good after. So I second your breathing notion. So let's move on to drinking water though. So this is fantastic too.
So drinking water. If you're drinking water out of a plastic bottle, 99% of those bottles are made of plastic that are what's called xenoestrogens. They cause your body to have hormone disruptions, thereby affecting both your toxicity levels and weight and health in general. So drinking out of these plastic bottles that most people are doing these days is absolutely the worst thing that you can do when it comes to water drinking, other than drinking it out of the tap.
So do you drink water out of, what do you use, glass?
So yeah, you could either use glass. ABS plastic that does not leach is also an option. Stainless steel is also an option. But remember, even in stainless steel, water is leaching, so it will pull the heavy metals, which is why putting it into aluminum cans is not really the best idea, right? Putting it into, like, if you put it into a pot, distilled water, it will leach metal into that pot. And so you got to watch for those, especially if you're cooking a lot with copper. People have copper deficiency or copper toxicity because they'll cook with copper pots and put distilled water, and it'll draw out the copper into the water. So filters are extremely important. In Florida, one of the worst states for water in the country, you'll find a lot of antidepressants, a lot of anti-aging medications and old age medications in the water, and they're ionized. They've been processed through your urine and put out to sea, and then they, go back into the drinking water supply. In Seattle, for instance, and the Northwest, it's antidepressants and cocaine and those things that they find in the salmon and wildlife there. So we're really at a point where our infrastructure is so bad that we are literally poisoning ourselves every time we try to drink healthy water, which is why this industry of plastic bottles was made to begin with. The point is, there are easy and very inexpensive solutions in your home that you can do. I have a filtering system that filters my entire house, showers, every single orifice that pours water is filtered. It costs $2,000. It does fluoride and everything else. I mean, it's a great machine.
Hmm.
There are other machines out there. There are other ways to get water, but drinking water. So drinking water is important, obviously, for detoxification if it's clean water. If you drink alkaline water, a lot of people are in this alkaline water phase. And I
Right.
just want you to remember, alkaline water is medicine. It's not a regular thing. You don't do that as every single glass of every single drink. Our
Right.
bodies are made of DNA and RNA. That's an acid. If you want to kill yourself, then you drink just alkaline and alkalize your body. Your body does not want to be alkaline. It wants to be in homeostasis.
Yes.
So we need to just remember drinking water is important. It also is important how much you drink, taking your body weight, dividing it in half, and drinking that much water in ounces is really good if you're, say, doing absolutely nothing but sitting on a couch all day.
Right.
So if you weigh 100 pounds, you should be drinking 50 ounces of water just to survive. If you go out and
Minimum, yeah.
exercise, if you do any kind of sweating, if you do any kind of movement, now you've got to compensate for that. If you drink a soda, 3 glasses of water just to compensate for that soda.
Right.
If you drink alcohol, it's for every hard liquor drink, it's 2 glasses of water. For every beer, 2 glasses of water. For every cup of coffee, 2 glasses of water. Even tea, most teas are diuretics. It's 2 glasses of water to rehydrate from that. So those 2 things, water drinking and breathing, absolutely free for most of that, right? Is the best thing that you could do to start getting healthy if you haven't even begun yet.
Wow, that's great. And I love how specific you were with both the breathing, talking even about the nerve, the fight or flight response when we breathe into our chest. I read an article several years ago about chest breathing, and they were in a hospital and they were in a wing where there were like 20 heart attack patients, and they analyzed their breathing. All 20 of them were chest breathers.
Yeah.
So there's definitely some correlation there, if not direct causation. So Ari, what do you tell somebody who you're talking to, and maybe they've made some strides with their health and fitness? They watched your podcast 3 months ago and they saw, oh, he says I need to breathe deeply and I need to breathe through my nose and I need to stand up and I need to put my hands over my head and I need to have a water filter, and I'm doing all these things. And then it just gets to the point where, it's too much. And we've all done it. We've all fallen off the wagon. What's your pep talk to that person who's fallen off the wagon?
Yeah, my pep talk is that there's no wagon.
Nice.
You're alive. If you're not dead, you're still on the wagon. You haven't fallen off anywhere, right? So the pep talk isn't something is wrong with you, you need to do, you should do, you better do. None of that. That to me is the antithesis of helpful, right?
Yeah.
It's more of a conversation. It's what happened. Do you remember how you were feeling? Do you remember what was going through your mind? Do you remember, it's an exploration of what was it that created that separation between you and the habit of wellness that you were building. It's not, look, again, unless you're dead, you're not done. It's not over, right? So there is no falling off and getting back on. There is none of that. We're in life. And in life, there is pulsation and frequency and rhythm and waves. And sometimes we do, and sometimes we don't. And I'll give you a good example. I have my own health issues that I've had since I was very young. And recently, I went through a car accident about 4 years ago, had to have stem cell surgery. And because of the health issues, I was 342 pounds. I was told by my doctors that I would never lose weight until I was dead from it because I have a brain tumor that causes wacky hormones. And so I went to a functional doctor. I had DNA tests. I had all kinds of testing because I always say to people, if you're going to get healthy, you test first, and then you create a plan based on your test, and then you execute that plan if you want to get results every time, right? If you want to just do willy-nilly, you don't need a plan. If you want to have unreliable results, you don't have a plan. This is for therapists, trainers, people trying to get healthy. I mean, everybody that I'm talking to, start building plans for your success in life in general. But the point is that after we did the testing, I dropped 142 pounds. It was awesome. Discipline was there. I did a 40-day fast, followed by another 2-week cleanse, followed by a 10-day water fast, followed by intermittent fasting. I mean, keto, paleo. I was literally every kind of inflammatory out of my system.
Nice.
And I dropped to lower than I had been since high school.
That's awesome.
Right. And now I've gained about 20 pounds back.
Yeah.
Through COVID. Doctors were closed, couldn't get my hormone shots.
Right.
Couldn't do the things that I was wanting to do, right? To maintain that health. So you could say I fell off a wagon. I don't say I fell off a wagon. I say life happened, right? Where do I want to go now? What was it that stopped? Well, I knew, so now I'm like, okay. So I go back to the doctor, go back to getting on the hormones, go back to getting on the supplements, go back to doing the things that are there. And the next time you see me, maybe I'll be 40 pounds lighter than I am now. Who knows? But the point is that the goal is not as important as the journey. And the goal is only important if you have a plan to execute for that goal. Otherwise, it's a wish.
Right. Exactly. Well, I like that concept of the and really that's life in general. The journey is the goal. We keep fast forwarding and fast forwarding and fast forwarding. And you alluded to it. I mean, we're going to die eventually. I'd rather not fast forward to that death. I'd rather enjoy every moment, whether it's a struggle or whether it's a victory, right? So we definitely have that opportunity, and I like that. I like there's no wagon. You're not off the wagon. You're alive. You're still going as long as you're alive. It's just feedback, right? It's feedback.
Absolutely, and there's no age that
Yeah.
is too young or too old to shift. I mean,
right.
We all have seen the pictures of 60, 70, 80-year-olds that are doing more stuff than most 30 and 20-year-olds can do. It's never too late to shift how you're living. It takes, like what you were talking about earlier, mindset, right? What's the mindset? And in my case, the mindset is I'm constantly ever evolving and growing and shifting. This new person that I'm shifting into doesn't have pain, doesn't have injuries, doesn't have all that stuff blocking him, doesn't have the traumas and the fears and the things blocking him. That person is the person who's changing the world, who's creating a new tomorrow. And so if that's the person that I'm becoming, what do I need to do to embody that? So asking yourself, who do you want to be first? And then how do I have to be in order to embody that person? It's like if you're going to take out the trash and you're going to master taking out the trash, are you going to take out the trash and then, not put a bag back in or not put it back where you found it? Or, it's like you're going to be precise in your thinking and in your actions. And when you're not, it's not about beating yourself up about it. It's about going, okay, what happened there? Asking yourself questions that dig deep into who you are so that you can find out what's blocking you from shifting and changing.
Right. 100%. That's awesome. Yeah. It's all about now forward. If you're holding on too much to the past, I think really, the past is there to learn from. And like you said, who do I need to be? Who am I becoming? And then let's do that now. Am I the person who empties the trash and then doesn't put that plastic back in? Well, I can change that if that's my thing now. If that's what I do now, I can change that and I can do better now going forward. And like right above your head, create a better tomorrow or create a new tomorrow, right? We're constantly creating new tomorrows right now. And that's I think the most empowering thing is that whatever happened yesterday, whatever happened 5 minutes ago, we don't have to live by that. We can move on and be better tomorrow.
Yeah, it's funny. Jim Rohn has a saying, and he says, he's talking about how the last 6 years don't have to be what the next 6 years are, right? So he's like, in the last 6 years, I was broke, didn't have a penny to my name, was missing my promises, all this stuff. The next 6 years, I can learn from all of my mistakes. I'm a human being. I can learn, I could grow, I can shift, I could change. I don't have to be in the same place I was the last 6 years. And that's a really good thing. I have this saying, it's called, we made this shit up and we can do better, right? And I think what people forget is that they created their life the way that it is, right? They made the choices to do the things that they do. That doesn't make you that. You can literally wake up tomorrow, sit up and say, I think I want to move to Australia, and make a plan to actually do that and go. You can get up, you can change the course of your life at any point in time. We have that ability. The only thing we have to do is stop being married to the creation that we think is so important, and we didn't even create most of this. We didn't create the buildings. We didn't create the monetary system. We didn't create the healthcare system, but it's up to us to realize that and go, oh, hey, I could change that. It's not working really well. I could be a part of changing that, making that better.
Absolutely. 100%. Where we are now is a snapshot, and it's our whole past that has led us to right here. And right now is the choice point. We make a decision. That choice point, like you said, you can literally just move to Australia. You can just say, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to be in this field anymore. I'm just going to leave. And I think that's so, and whether or not you actually leave, it's really empowering to know that you can, right? Like tomorrow, I might not be hosting this podcast. It's a very empowering place to be, but then it changes my perception. I no longer have to do anything. I choose to do this podcast right now. This is my choice, right? And I think that's such a powerful place to be, whether we're talking about health and fitness, whether we're talking about career, even relationships, knowing that I don't have to be in this relationship. I choose to be in this relationship. And it's just a much better place to be, as far as just feeling empowered, feeling like you own your life, right?
Absolutely. And, it's funny because I have my own things with choice. When you ask the choice versus destiny, I'm going to tell you destiny every time. I don't think we have choice. I think choice is the illusion that we have the split second before we decide whether we're going to be addicted to our commitments or our habits, right? Either way, we got to be addicted to one of them, commitments or habits. So once you choose, I'm going to be committed. You don't have a choice. I'm committed. I am committed. So Think about it this way. How many times have you failed in losing weight because you weren't committed?
That's like the reason why people fail to lose weight, right? They
business.
Yeah, I'd say same thing.
Right. So something we talked about earlier, and I want to illustrate it, is the speed at which you go. And I go back to the turtle and the hare fable. And I tell people, the slower you go, the further you'll get. The slower you go, the further you'll get. And what I mean by that is people want it now. This society is so full of fast food, quick fix, get rich quick. Everything has to be so fast, but it's very unsustainable when it's done that way.
Yeah.
Same thing with your body. If you go to a gym and work out, and you've seen this, how many people do you see rip and tear and create massive injury to their body, where they're working out hard for like a month, they tried to go fast and they got injured, and then they can't work out now for 4 months because they're injured. And then they try to build the momentum to go back, and then they still have the injury, and then Okay, but what would have happened had they just gone slow
Right.
and built the foundation first? And I akin this to building a house. So most people that I see go into the gym and try to build the most beautiful kitchen. It's called
Right.
washboard abs and big chest. Ooh, big chest that bounces back and forth. They go,
Right.
they don't worry about function. So
Right.
the first time something happens, the kitchen is collapsed with the rest of the house. There's no foundation,
Yeah.
right? You're on a sinkhole. You're just going to crumble.
It's the three little pigs. You just built your house out of sticks or straw.
Exactly.
And I tell again, like a personal story. I was very underweight, and now I think I'm probably still a little bit underweight, but I'm right where I want to be. But a couple of years ago, I was very underweight. I wanted to gain 10 pounds, and I gave myself 2 years to do it. And everybody online who say, "Oh, you can gain, 2 pounds in a month, right? So that means 5 months I can gain my 10 pounds." And I just thought, no, I'm not going to do that. I gave myself 2 years. I ended up gaining it in about 18 months, but it was just nice. It was leisurely. I could, progress very slowly. I didn't get injured once. It was great. And it was so different from when I was 14, 15, 16 years old, when I had a football or a basketball coach yelling at me to throw up more weight because I had to get stronger and then I got injured like every other month. So I agree with you 100%. That tortoise and the hare is a great story. Well, we're going back to kindergarten. Tortoise and the hare, the three little pigs. This is great.
Absolutely. Well, everything you learned that you need to know for life, you learned in kindergarten. You've seen that sign.
There you go. Yep,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, Ari, I'd like to have you back a second time. I'm gonna wrap it up here, just for time limits. I like keeping the episodes like 10 to 20 minutes. Give us, how do people contact you if they want to get in touch with you? Email, website, social media.
Yeah. So anybody can go to createanewtomorrow.com and you can find it on any one of the platforms, including YouTube. We do all of our episodes video and audio so that you can consume it in any which way. The website is createanewtomorrow.com or achievehealthusa.com if you're interested in any kind of corporate wellness events or speaking engagements. I love sharing with people's audiences. And Ari Gronich, I'm the only one on the planet.
You're the only one. That's awesome.
Yeah, there's none other. So
Awesome.
I am unique, like a snowflake, and so I'm easy to find. But yeah, I really appreciate you letting me come on, and hopefully I've given some benefit to your audience and that they could take away and do now.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to reiterate is I do really appreciate it's kind of like an inside out approach, right? You're getting to the root cause of whatever's manifesting out in the world. So, and that's really where health and wellness comes from. It's your mindset, it's your inner spirit, your soul. And I appreciate having these conversations. So thank you again. And everybody check out his website, go on social media and reach out to Ari. Ari, thank you so much again for joining me today, Health in the Real World.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Health in the Real World show. Make sure to like and subscribe and comment down below. Visit mycorebalance.com to learn more.